What up, what up? Warning Track North gang. It's your boy, the Stuntman, Andrew, back with another episode of Warning Track North. Of course, joined as always by Mr. Chris Lazar. Lazarbeam, what's going on, buddy? How you doing this week?
I mean, it's cold as fuck, man. It's so cold outside. Like people for anyone who doesn't know, I live in Cambridge, Ontario, which is about an hour out of Toronto. Andrew lives in bumfuck nowhere, Sault Ste. Marie, so he's like even more north than me. And I woke up this morning and it was minus 25 degrees on St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way, to anyone who
Happy St.
celebrates.
Patrick's Day.
Um, it'd be a happier St. Patrick's Day if I could go outside. I'd love to go out for a beer, but I don't even want to leave my house. So anyway, good day to record a podcast though, because you're stuck inside anyway. So let's talk it up. Let's chat about baseball.
Great day to be here. And yeah, like you said, I mean, it might be cold. The weather outside is frightful, but our fires are so delightful. That fire being right here on Warning Track North. And we have a lot to get through today. It's not just any old episode. I mean, we have been through a WBC. We have, and by we I mean Canada. Unfortunately, their W.
Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah, Canada's WBC journey came to an end. So we've got to break down some of that. Preview tonight's WBC final. Set up a little bit about the Blue Jays, but we have not one but two episodes coming at people next week to talk about the Blue Jays, and we can get into all of that. So yeah, I mean, Canada's elimination, an umpiring circus, if you will, some opening day stuff. We have lots to do today. Are you ready? I don't know. That
Yeah,
was
well,
more of a yeah.
yeah,
Okay, then let's.
yeah. I didn't know if you were waiting for me to interject or
Wow,
not, but yeah, no. Let's yeah, might as well start
you're a
talking.
good
That's
interjector.
what we're here to
You're
do,
you're
I
good. You're
guess.
a good interjector. So I just assumed maybe he would do that right then and there, and he did not. But either way, folks, I have to break the news if you haven't already heard. But USA beat Canada 5-3 in their WBC semifinal game, which was or quarterfinal game, sorry, which was a bummer. They put up a fight. I will say Canada put up a fight against arguably the strongest WBC lineup or a stronger WBC lineup. It would have been really nice for Canada to get one win against the Americans in these last few months of sports. It just seems like we've been kind of in a bit of an uphill battle, if you will. But at the end of the day, Canada hit a bomb. Shout out Bo Naylor for a 2-run bomb that gave Canada life. We saw some players put up, impressive at bats. And I can't say that it was a disappointing game overall, but to me, it just kind of felt like the moment was too big to capture for Canada.
I don't know if I would label it as the moment got too big. Like they did fight tooth and nail. I thought that end of the day it was just they kind of ran out of gas. Like they didn't have much left. Like I thought they fought. I thought they battled. Uh, their best players, their most experienced major leaguers, let them down uh, the
I
most
mean, yeah,
in this
we
game.
were Canada was 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position through 7 innings. 7 left on base again, a story that never died for Team Canada. Um, I also just thought it was poetic that the game also had to end with Canada's worst hitters, arguably as well. Like I don't know,
Who was the last out? I can't even
uh,
remember.
the end of the order,
So
the
long
end
ago.
of
It wasn't Julian
no,
though. He wasn't
Julian
the
was the
last out,
second
was he?
last, and then it flipped to Otto Lopez, who was our
Oh,
last out.
Otto Lopez, right? Because
Um,
Naylor was on
who
deck, right?
then,
Um,
who I guess the WBC maybe helps propel, as you don't care about spring training, but Otto Lopez did go 2 for 2 yesterday for the Miami Marlins against the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm just saying. But back to WBC stuff. Fitting that the game kind of ended on the shoulders of guys who kind of let me down the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to like hold it against a guy like Otto Lopez or like.
I,
I'm not gonna be mad at Edward.
I'm not saying
I'm,
it's
I'm not
Otto
gonna be mad at.
Lopez's fault. Like, it's not his only fault, but there's something poetic about that game coming down to guys that you really wanted to see break out in a big way and not.
I'm not gonna be mad at Edward Julian because he can't hit Mason Miller. I know Edward Julian can't hit Mason
Edward
Miller, so
Julian
like
can't hit a baseball right now. That guy's a bum.
it's true. Hey, you had a hit the
Oh,
other day,
shut
but
up.
the yeah, I mean, ultimately, it just for me, it just came down to they just didn't have enough talent. The disappointing aspect of the game for me was that they could have won this game. I thought that they actually probably deserved a better result. Like I thought they outplayed the US throughout most of this game. Canada's pitching was phenomenal the entire tournament. They didn't give up a home run in 5 games. They didn't give up one home run. They gave up one double in this game, maybe two. Again, limited extra base hits. And the big inning for the U.S., where they scored a couple runs, was, a ball never left the infield. Abraham Toro's a butcher over at third base, picked up the ball, throw it away. Like, it's, like the things that killed Canada or that concerned us about Canada throughout this tournament, which was clean defense and hitting with runners in scoring position, are the two things that hurt them the most in this game, right? Abraham Toro doesn't throw that ball away. Josh Naylor, Tyler O'Neill put a ball in play. All of a sudden, the game looks very different, right? So that's what it came down to. I wasn't very impressed with the United States. I haven't been very impressed with the United States this entire tournament. I understand they're in the finals, but like Juan Soto, and people call it loser posting, and mainly Americans are calling it loser posting, and I'll get into American baseball fans and how clueless they all are. But if you remember after the Olympics, right, Nathan McKinnon, it was ironic how similar it was, right? Because Nathan McKinnon came out, he missed that wide open net. Canada loses the game. Canada clearly outplays the U.S. the entire game. And then he comes out and afterwards and says, you watch the game, tell me who you thought the better team was. Basically saying that the better team didn't win that day. Juan Soto, after the game on Sunday, came out and said something very similar about their baseball team, right? They lost 2-1, which is the same score that Canada lost the gold medal game by, and said, we proved to the world that we're the best baseball nation in the world, even though they lost to the U.S. And I have a hard time disagreeing with them. Like, it's baseball, right? So any given day, things happen, whatever. But and the U.S. was the better team that day. That day they were better than the DR. But you look at the body of work, you look at the previous 5 games, and I don't think one objective viewer would say that the United States was more impressive in this tournament than the Dominican Republic. And so it sucks because it's like that it's like the Breaking Bad meme with the US where it's like they can't keep getting away with this and they just keep getting away. We fucking lost to them in sledge hockey, man. Like we can't beat them in anything anymore. Anyway, we're not going to get into the whole Canada USA thing. But yeah, I mean I again, when like coming back to Canada, there were a couple times in this game where I wrote down, is this Josh Naylor's Canadian heritage moment? And afterwards immediately wrote, nope. Because like he just came up small. I thought he was trying to play hero. I thought he was trying to play hero the entire tournament. And not great. It's tough to win that way. And then Ernie Witt's very, very questionable decision to use a quarterfinal game that was a 3-0 game against the United States as a chance to give Philippe Aumont some sort of like respectful send-off, as if he's not the worst pitcher on the staff. Just again, it's disappointing from the standpoint that Canada had no business competing with the United States if you look at talent for talent. But if you watch the 9-inning game, you can't help but come away from it thinking, man, that was a big missed opportunity, right? Like that could have been our miracle on ice moment for baseball, right? Where maybe not, obviously not to that level, right? Like there's a lot that went into that one, but Um, yeah, like Canada was facing minus 800 odds from the U.S. Like the U.S. was one of the heaviest favorites that you'll ever see in a baseball game, and Canada probably should have won. And so that's where it is. It is disappointing. Again, the most annoying part for me was the usage of Philly Beaumont, the middle of the order, just not getting the job done. Uh, yeah, it was disappointing from that standpoint. But if we look at it holistically, successful tournament for Canada. Hard to look at it any other way. Made it further than they ever have. Get you excited about 2029. I wonder if the success from this tournament A brings more guys out in 2029, and B if they give Canada one of the pools in 2029 if they put it in Toronto, which would be fun because Toronto hasn't had it since 2009. So um, that would be pretty cool. Uh, I just have one more thing on the Canada USA game. I don't have much else. Sorry, two things. One, Cal Raleigh sucks now. Can't hit a beach ball.
Cal,
That's number one. Number
Cal
two,
Raleigh, Eduardo Julian, same ballpark.
same guy, except Cal Raleigh just swings from the other side too. It was like he got absolutely dominated by Tugboat, and like that was going to be my second point. Was I just can't get enough Tugboat, man. I can't get enough. He's a goddamn legend. Like I can't wait for that guy to pitch in the big leagues. He throws the hardest. That's what I've been telling people all week. He throws the hardest 91-mile-an-hour fastball I've ever seen. Like that pitch plays up to probably 94, 95, 96. Like the way he dominated Cal Raleigh, the way he struck out Bryce Harper, down 3-0 to Bryce Harper. Yeah, maybe he got a little bit of gift of call on 3-0, but he was still down 3-1 to Bryce Harper and punched him out. And so, and he pitches with so much energy and whatever. Like, he does not care. He is going to be himself. He's going to go out there and try to dominate. And that's what he did basically the whole tournament. So, yeah, I can't get enough of him. And, yeah, pretty much all I got. I also wrote down Adam Mako was nails for Canada too. Hard for Jays fans not to be excited since we are going to pivot into Jays here in the next little while. Adam Mako is a guy that I'd be looking at as a potential lefty out of the pen later in the season. Obviously, right now, people are excited about Brandon Little, rightfully so. Mason Fluharty also has the inside track there based on his success from last year. But after that, one of those guys goes down, who knows, right? Might see an Adam Mako get a shot in the big leagues this year. So, yeah, again, overall successful tournament, disappointing result against the U.S.
Nothing excites me about Brandon Little, by the way. Absolutely nothing.
98?
No,
98 Brandon Little doesn't excite you?
hasn't
You know
shown
Brandon
me.
Little last year was throwing
Nope,
94?
nope. Prove it. Nope. Not excited yet. Not
Okay.
excited yet. I just am not. Nope. But that's just me. I could be excited about everything
Listen,
else.
we are going to do, we talked about how we're going to do 2 episodes next week. One of those episodes, we're going to do a bit of a stock report on some guys coming out of spring
Love it.
training. And if you want to sell your Brandon Little stock, I will buy all of it because I'm all over Brandon Little. But we'll save that for the next
Bam.
episode.
I'll keep that in mind. I will keep that in mind. You should never reveal your hand too early. But here we are. Any other standouts, Blue Jays standouts at the WBC that you wanted to touch upon while we're here?
Yeah, had our first look at Tyler Rogers since he's become a Blue Jay in terms of like a high leverage scenario. Obviously, we've watched Tyler Rogers pitch before, but for anyone who wasn't super familiar with him, yeah, he throws 82, but who cares? He throws from a weird arm slot and he finds a way to get outs. And he got Juan Soto to ground into an absolutely massive double play. That play could have changed the entire, that inning is where the game really hung in the balance in that USA Dominican Republic game. And Rogers was fantastic. Andres Jimenez continues to play excellent defense for Venezuela. I was interested to see what he looks like at short. Now that he is a full-time shortstop, it's going to be his first full season as a shortstop in the major leagues. So interested to see how that goes. I'm not really worried about it at all. He's an amazing defender. So those two guys, Adam Mako, obviously we touched on for Canada. And man, I'll tell you what, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I don't know if you remember this, but between the end of the regular season and the beginning of the playoffs, the Jays had that 5-day break because they clinched the 1 seed. And if you remember the rhetoric going into that last couple games of the year, where the Jays were kind of losing that division lead and people were scared. The thought was, man, this team is beat up. Vladdy doesn't have it right now. They need this break. They got the break, and then during that 5-day stretch, they played those inter squads
Yep.
at the Rogers Center. And during one of those inter squads, Vladdy went up against, I believe it was Bowden Francis was pitching, and he hit a ball off the wall in the left center gap, and it's very well documented that he came back to the dugout and he just kept telling everyone that would listen, I found it. That's the one. That's the one that I needed. I found it. And he parlayed that into success throughout all of October. Obviously, best hitter on the planet for a month. And you could make a strong argument he was the best hitter in the WBC.
Yep.
In that game against the US, why did the Dominican lose? Well, I can make an argument that it's because Vladdy never got an at-bat with runners in scoring position in that game, because I fully believe he would have done something. Sick lineup usage, Albert Pujols, way to put your best hitter hitting in the 4-hole. But what my point to that whole story is, we're going to need, if Vladdy, let's say Vladdy keeps this up and he wins an MVP this season or whatever, we are going to need a 30 for 30 documentary on what happened in those 5 days between the end of the regular season and the ALDS game 1 against the Yankees, because whatever it was may have changed the trajectory of Vladdy's career, may have changed the trajectory of the Blue Jays franchise. And so we'll see where it goes, but really hard to not be super excited about this guy coming into this season.
Dude, that's not a bad take. That's a really good take when you say it could very well have changed like the trajectory, of Vladdy and of his Blue Jays timeline. This is year 1 of Vladimir Guerrero's 14-year, $500 million contract that included a $325 million signing bonus.
It's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, dude. That's a lot of money. However, you pay somebody that amount of money when you pop off the way he has since, like you said, basically postseason game 1 through now. The guy is red hot. And
well, think about just how much he's changed his narrative, right? Just in the last year. Like, he was a guy who at the beginning of the season didn't have a contract, and people were saying like, hey, you got to pay this guy because what else do you have? But everyone kind of acknowledged that $500 million was a ton of money. Like, it's probably too much for a guy like Vladdy. And Vladdy's entire thing was always, this guy has so much potential. This guy has so much ability, but we've only really seen him maximize it in one season. Whereas, and keep in mind, he was also kind of viewed, for Toronto sports fans, in a similar light to Austin Matthews coming into this postseason, where it was like, he was 0-6 in the playoffs. He had never won a playoff game before. Hit like shit every playoff game that he's ever played in. Got picked off at second base in that Twin Series. Like, people weren't sure what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was going to look like. And in the span of 1 month in October, and then has continued it into the WBC, like, he looks like a completely different person. He looks like a completely different player. Like, he plays with so much confidence now. Like, he looks like a leader. He looks mature. And you just see him at the plate, and is there a more terrifying hitter to face in the world right now than him?
No,
like,
absolutely
I don't know.
not.
Like, people might say Aaron Judge, but it's like, I don't know. I've seen Aaron Judge come up small in big moments all the time. Vladdy, over the last year, name a big moment he's come up small in. Like, even in the World Series, let's use Game 7 as an example. 9th inning, 3-0, Blake Snell. He's an inch away from hitting that ball to Saturn and walking off Game 7 of the World Series. And then in the 11th inning, nobody remembers because they just remember Kirk hitting into the double play. Vladdy hit a double off of the guy that nobody could hit. Like, Yamamoto was getting everybody out, and Vladdy took a curveball off the wall that he probably had no business hitting. Like, this is just who he is now, right? He is among the elite of the elite hitters. He's the best first baseman in baseball. And he is one of the 5 best right-handed hitters on the planet, maybe top 2, right? Like, he's just unbelievable, man. And like, it's crazy that he's one of ours, and he's one of ours for the next 14 years. So
14 years.
Yeah, if he's able to keep it up, and do this because this is the thing, right? Is everybody knows that contract is going to look really shitty at the end because there's no 14-year contract that's ever been signed that looks good in the last 4 years. But if he can produce at that level for the next 5-6 years, no one's going to care, right? Like he could pay off the entire contract here in the next year or two. He almost paid it all off in October. They win a World Series last year, and he completely pays off $500 million. It's all worth it, right? So, yeah, it's very encouraging to see that this has just been a continuation of the success that we saw in October. And yeah, it's hard not to. He's everyone's favorite like MVP pick right now, and it's hard to fault anyone for it.
Yeah, I mean, a bright light, if not the brightest of lights for the Toronto Blue Jays going into this season. Speaking of bright lights, we have a game in Miami happening tonight. That I know we're not here to spend too much time on because it doesn't involve the Blue Jays or Canada. But I just wanted to bring it up because this WBC finals was not what either of us predicted. And for lack of a better word or term, is it the final we deserve? I don't know. I'm kind of pissed that we sat through a Dominican Republic USA game that was essentially an ABS circus, but we don't have ABS, so it's just an ad. I called it an ad for ABS. It was like 3 hours of that. Blown calls, just crap. I don't know. It was. They say something about like, oh, the argument can be made about taking away the human element of the game, but like, how many more blown calls or games like that do we have to absorb on an international level before they finally say it's time to change it? You got to think next WBC we're bringing in the ABS.
100%. I mean, even the like going back to 2023, there's precedent for this, right? 2023, I want to say was the first year of the pitch clock. It was either the first or second year of the pitch clock. And they didn't have the pitch clock in the WBC because it was still like a new innovation. It was something that they hadn't done at the major league level yet, or at least had been very recently introduced. And the thing with the WBC that does make it a little tricky is you are dealing with players who aren't all major leaguers, right? Like you got a lot of guys who, whether they play in the KBO, whether they play in the Japanese league, you got teams like Czechia where you got electricians putting on the cleats and coming to play. Like, like it's guys from everywhere where it's tough to implement a rule like that, especially when you consider that like the Tokyo Dome probably doesn't have the technology for ABS because they don't use it in Japan, right? So I can understand why it wasn't used. However, with that being said, I think that USA Dominican Republic game, for any of the doubters or any of the people who didn't like the idea of ABS, I have a really hard time believing that there's a ton of defenders now besides American fans who want to pretend like they didn't watch the same game. So I mentioned earlier how I was going to maybe not eviscerate American baseball fans, but kind of call American baseball fans out on their bullshit. Because let's call a spade, Andrew, okay? And I'll let you answer this question for me. And it's just going to be a quick yes or no because I'm going somewhere with this. So I'm assuming you saw the discourse on Twitter where American fans are saying, oh, you can't tell me that pitch was for sure a ball, or, oh, it was too close to take, right? Like that was the rhetoric from the U.S. is like, oh, just swing the bat and fight off the ball, right? That was generally the sentiment. If the Americans had lost on the exact same call, what do you think they'd be saying today?
Yes. Oh, or no. Yeah. Or yeah.
No, I guess I didn't break the question properly. Anyway, point is, I'll rephrase. Do you think they would be speaking in the same way?
Yes.
You think they would? You think they would be speaking in the same way?
We don't need ABS. No. They would be calling for that umpire's head and would be rioting and would be calling for ABS and calling it a phony and a sham and all that kind of stuff. 100%.
the umpire was American. If they got screwed on a call like that to end a game by an American, they would be asking for his citizenship to be taken away. They would be yelling for ICE to come and get him. Like that's what they would be doing. And so like it's it's ridiculous to me that Americans sit here on their high horse and go, "Oh, you should have swung the bat. Oh, you should have. It's too close to take. Blah 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 blah." Listen, man, we get it. You played little league baseball, all right, and your coach when you were 13 years old told you, "Oh, swing at anything that's close to a strike." You want to know why your little league coach told you that? Number one, because you're 13 years old and they're trying to teach you, how to play baseball at 13 years old. And number two, because your umpire is some 21-year-old college student who drank until 4 in the morning the night before, and he's umpiring a 9 a.m. game, and he wants to go home, so he's going to call everything a strike. That's why they're telling you to protect the plate. Whereas in the major leagues, that's obviously not the case. Here's the other thing, too. When you look at that pitch, right, and you look at that at-bat, Mason Miller throws 103 miles an hour with a nasty, nasty slider. And the pitch that was called a strike to end the game was like 3 inches below it was like 3.4 inches below the zone when it crossed the plate. ABS obviously would have called it a ball. Why are people so insistent on punishing or saying, oh, it's the hitter's fault? Why is it the hitter's fault that he had amazing plate discipline? He worked a great at-bat, and I believe it was Perdomo. He worked a great at-bat, fought off a bunch of tough pitches, and then laid off a slider below the zone that a lot of hitters would have swung at. And you know what a hitter would have done if they swung at that pitch? Probably swung and missed, because it's not a strike and it's a difficult pitch to hit. So let's stop sitting here and being like, oh, that pitch, and then also for the crowd that's like, oh, because I saw it on Twitter, someone, most brain dead take I've ever seen, by the way. This football announcer, I can't remember his name, he was on Twitter taking a screenshot from the broadcast view saying, oh, this is where the ball crossed the plate. You can't tell me that's not a strike. And it was just like an arbitrary screenshot from behind the plate. It's like, how do you even know where that ball is? And people were telling him on Twitter, like, hey, ABS uses like 12 different cameras from all over the place to like make sure that they get the call right. And this guy goes, yeah, no, listen, it just seemed like a strike to me. Like, I'm not really sure. I don't really know much about ABS. It's like, why are you opening your mouth then and saying things when you don't know anything, first of all? And also, this is the other thing with the whole like little league thing, right? Because this dude probably played baseball at 12 years old. When you're 12 years old and you're facing a guy throwing a curveball, yeah, that ball might drop 12 inches once it touches the front of the plate to when it hits the catcher's glove, because that guy's throwing 60 miles an hour.
Right.
This dude's throwing 84 and the catcher is 5 feet behind the front of the plate. That ball might drop 1 to 2 more inches once it gets to the front of that plate. The screenshot he took, it made it look like it dropped like 10. It's like, how far back do you think these catchers stand? Anyway, my point is that the arrogance of Americans cannot be overstated. The goalpost moving from American baseball fans who think they know baseball and don't know a damn thing about baseball is wild to me. And it's exactly why they don't deserve to win this tournament. It's exactly why I cannot stand their team and the way that they have treated this tournament. I think it's bad for baseball that they're even in this position. And I hope Venezuela upsets them and beats their ass tonight. I really do.
Well, I'm sure that was the kiss of death, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. After all of that, I'm sure. I'm really hoping not, but I'm sure after all of that, we are in for some shit tonight.
Thank God. Thank God that we're a Canadian podcast.
It's true.
Thank God we're a Canadian baseball podcast.
Venezuela did rally past Team Italy, which I was surprised about. I think Michael Lorenzen was left in a little bit too long. He was originally supposed to start that game as well, and he came in later in the game, so there's something to be said. What's that quote? Don't save a pitcher for tomorrow because tomorrow it could rain. There's something very similar about that, where if you're going to start a guy and there's talks about starting a guy, just start a guy. Don't mess with what is not broken. Either way, Italy crashes out due to a 3-run 7th inning by Venezuela, which maybe is going to be just enough momentum to keep that rally going into tonight, where you kind of have momentum versus depth, if you will. I'm not to say that the USA is the most depth team, but they've got depth. They would be
I would I would say it's talent versus vibes. That's
culture,
how I
culture
would.
versus depth. Like that's almost like what I wanted to go with, or like yeah, I suppose like
Sure.
vibes, yeah, vibes and culture versus
Yeah. Culture versus
talent.
talent. Let's say that, right? Like the US is the more talented team. Venezuela has the passion,
Hundred
right?
percent.
So
Yeah,
let's land on passion versus
love it.
talent. That's really what it comes down to, right? It's like how bad do you want it versus how good are you actually, right?
Exactly.
Like that's kind of what we're looking at in this matchup. I will say, I know you said it's not the finals we predicted, but you know what we did predict?
What's that?
Italy being a massive dark horse in this tournament and giving a lot of people problems. We did call Italy being really good coming into this
It's
tournament.
true.
And I had a lot of people messaging me and saying like, "Hey, like this Italy team like I didn't think they were going to be this good." And I'm like, "We did.
We
We
did.
called it right off the bat. We said they were going to both of us, right? Both of us were like, that's we think they're going to come out of the group." I will say, you know what the other thing is too? I'm pretty sure that we went 8 for 8 on our predictions of who was going to make it to the semifinal round. And I think the only seeding we got wrong was US and Italy because I think we had US finishing first, Italy finishing
Mm-hmm.
second. But we had Canada 1, Puerto Rico 2. We had Japan 1, South Korea 2.
You,
We had
you did.
Italy and
You did. You did.
USA getting
Yeah, you
through.
did. You had
Yeah, because you had who did you have?
shout out Taiwan or Chinese Taipei.
Oh yeah, you had Chinese Taipei, and then in the last pool we had DR and Venezuela. So yeah, we were, I guess I was 8 for 8. You were 7 for 8, which is pretty damn good, right? So,
We know.
maybe
Hey,
we know what we're talking
people.
about.
Hey, it's like we know ball. If you're watching tonight, though, of course, everyone's cheering for Venezuela. Andres Jimenez, going to be playing, of course. I'm glad he's okay. He took a pitch off the hand earlier in the tournament, and it's kind of scary stuff. But life is good. Um, and yeah, I mean, after everything we saw with the umpiring in that semifinal game, let's just hope that we can have a bit more of a cleaner game. And as much as I love international ball, and we will wrap up an international tournament tonight, we have a couple of Blue Jays things that we would like to tease. But also, then we can talk about our Blue Jays plan going forward. Um, March 27th, opening day. We are officially 10 days away from opening day. The Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Athletics. Kevin Gausman officially taking the ball for the Blue Jays on opening day. I'm assuming, maybe I shouldn't, but I will. You're looking at Gausman, Cease, Yasavage, Scherzer, Ponce, all depending on injuries. Um, we're for sure looking at a 6-man Blue Jays rotation at some point, if not all season, or mixes of it throughout the year. And like you said, it's nice to see Rogers kind of, getting some pitches in there, feeling good. You had Jeff Hoffman join Team USA on their pitching staff, and outside of the three glaring Blue Jays injuries, Jose Barrios, Bowden Francis, and Shane Bieber. I'm talking just pitching. Um, Cody Ponce hasn't looked amazing, but hasn't looked horrible. So I can't really complain too much. A few days ago, he 2 innings pitched, 2 Ks. He's going to be a key piece to that rotation puzzle. But yeah, we're looking at some fun stuff right now for the Blue Jays. I guess the biggest one is the Barrios news as well as the Gosman stuff. But what do you want to? What do you want to? Anything you want to get off your chest?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there's anything I want to get off my chest. I'd say the only if we're doing a get off my chest, I think that was my Redbird rant was the U.S. thing. But no, the one thing you did say there that I'm actually I did I know we had talked about in the past, but the more I pay attention, the more I don't think that it's going to happen off the bat is the 6-man rotation. Is I think they are going to go with a 5-man rotation to start, where Lauer and Savage are going to be kind of a package deal. Savage is going to start, Lauer is going to come in after him. because Savage isn't going to be all the way built up. I think he's going to be around that 50, 60 pitch mark to start the season, maybe a little more. But I think they're going to really limit his usage. It's going to be some combination of Gosman, Cease, Scherzer, Savage, Ponce. That is going to be some semblance of your 5-man rotation to start the year. Maybe they use Lauer as a sixth guy, but I have a really hard time believing they're going to do that with Savage not being fully built up. You need a guy that's going to give you length behind him. It's also why I could see Savage not starting in that opening week. I actually think it might be Scherzer that starts that third game of the Athletic Series. I think Gosman Cease is pretty clear that's going to be 1-2. You even look at the way that they've lined up with Cease when he's throwing, the amount of innings he's throwing, things like that. Cease is lined up to start that second game. Gosman is obviously lined up to start opening day. That's already been announced, which good for Kevin, man. Like he's been here for 5 years. I'm pretty sure this is his first opening day start, and getting to do it at home, celebrating the AL championship, all that fun stuff that's going to happen on opening day. Really exciting for him. It's a long time coming for him. He's one of the greatest signings in Blue Jays history, to be quite honest. So, and the guy loves it here, right? Like he loves the Blue Jays. He bleeds blue.
Hell
so,
yeah. And third time's the charm. Like you said, this is his first opening day nod here in Toronto, but he has had two before that. He had one with the Orioles and then one with...
he had one with San Fran.
Yeah, exactly. So he had one in 2021 with San Fran and then 2017 with the Orioles. Third time's the charm. Let's go out there and let's start the year off right, you know? Oh.
Yeah, and I will say this now, and I will say this for everyone who will do the thing that we do every year, which is we see what happens on opening day, and then we immediately write either the obituary for the team or we plan the parade after opening day. It's 162 games. You know what no one's going to care about when the season is over? What happens on opening day. Enjoy opening day. It's a really exciting time for baseball. It's really exciting for everyone getting the games that matter back. But do you remember what happened last year on opening day? Do you know who started opening day last year? Do you remember?
Not Jose Barrios.
It was Jose Barrios.
Of course.
He started opening day, and he got shelled. Yeah. He got shelled on opening day, right? Which, to be fair, that was kind of a bad omen for Jose's season and the way it was going to go. But if you remember the way the season started, they started off 2-2 with the Orioles, and people were thrilled. They're like, oh my God, this is so great. Imagine at the end of the season, we were like, oh, the Blue Jays split with the Orioles. You'd be like, oh, that sucks. The Orioles are crap, you know? Like, so this is the thing, right? Is like, you never know. And I remember 2024 opening day, they were in Tampa, and I think they have 4 homers in that game, and everyone was like, oh my God, maybe power isn't going to be an issue. And then power proceeded to be an issue the entire season. So, don't read too much into what happens this first weekend. Take it for what it is. I personally don't even really pay attention to the standings until June. Like, I try not to look at it until about June. It's about that 60 game mark. That's when you get a pretty good barometer of what the team should be or what you think of that team. And even the Jays last year, right? Like, they didn't really take off until around that Canada Day weekend, right? Like, that was really the thing that propelled them for the rest of the season. So it's a long season. Let's not live and die with every single pitch of every single game. We will talk about all of the games. We're going to probably do one episode a week throughout the season where we'll recap the previous week of baseball. And so we'll do it a little more holistically that way. But I just caution everyone, relax. What you see at the start of the year. Do you remember Easton Lucas was starting games for the Jays in April a year ago?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the team is in a great spot right now. It's all eyes on September, October. Yeah, obviously you want to get off to a good start, bank as many wins as possible. I will say it is important that they bank some wins early because they do all count the same. And when you start with the Athletics and the Rockies, both at home, you would like to start the season 4-2, 5-1. So, we'll see. Again, we'll preview all of this next week, but just kind of wanted that PSA that I guess I did want to get that off my chest is, hey, let's not overreact to the first couple games of the season. Except for the one time, by the way, the one time when I called Tanner Roark being DFA'd immediately, like his first outing, I was like, that guy sucks. Get him off the team. That was the only time where I was like, no, I don't care that it's his first start. He's done. I can't watch him pitch anymore. But anyway, that's my arch now. I can't stand Tanner Roark. Anyway, I'm sure he's a great guy, but
Yeah, watch him just
can't pitch. I fear.
Okay, so fun fact: I was at a Blue Jays game once. When you talk about, I'm sure he's a great guy. This is where I'm at a game, and we're me, my buddy Nick, Blue Jays game. We're listening to these people in the stands, and they're just going off about Angel Hernandez. But we're all obviously on his ass about being a horrible umpire and calling a horrible game and all of this. And you just hear this woman who's like, oh, well, he actually does a lot of like charity work and gives back to the community a lot. And he's actually a fantastic person. And my buddy and I were like, I don't give a shit that he gives to charity. I don't give a shit. I don't care. He's a horrible umpire. Get this guy off of blast this man off of to the moon. It was this weird, like, but he does charity work. I don't care. I'm sure he's a great guy. Maybe he is.
There's a lot of guys that do charity work.
I don't care. Guess what? Lots of people who do charity work also do it because it's a tax write-off and not because they actually care. Newsflash, not everybody who gives to charity is a good person. Boom. Anyway.
That is true. Here's the thing. Angel Hernandez. I have one Angel Hernandez point. Sorry, not to cut you off. Man, we were robbed.
I know what you're going to say.
Angel Hernandez versus ABS. We were robbed of Angel Hernandez versus ABS. Oh, it would have been an all-time. It would have been like the hydrogen bomb against the coughing baby. Like it was just.
In fairness, fairness, I think we're actually missing a few great umpiring legends against ABS. But
Phil Cuzzy.
But we've got a few who are going to give it a run for its money. God, man.
Anyway, did you say anything to this woman? Did you have more to that story?
Oh, we kind of just clapped back a little bit about that. And it's almost just like a running gag now. So, like, no matter how bad somebody is in life, it'd be like, but he gives to charity, though. So, I mean,
but he's a nice guy
because he gives to charity. So, shout out Tanner Roark. If you don't give to charity, start doing that, buddy. In all seriousness, no, I think the Blue Jays could go 9-0 to start the year. Athletics, Rockies, and then away at the White Sox. Now, I'm a little higher on the White Sox than some people. However, I'm not that high up on them. I genuinely think this Blue Jays team has a chance to go 9-0 to start the year, which perfectly sets up a series at home against the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's right, April 6th. I've got that one circled on my calendar. I had it circled since last season. April 6th, Monday, weird time. It's Monday, but nothing to get more hyped up about. It's probably Monday Night Baseball that night, isn't it? It's probably one of those few Monday night FS1, big time games that the Blue Jays will get on FS1 this year. Because jokes on them, after making it to a World Series, you kind of get gifted a few extra games on the big time. But yeah,
they're still Toronto. They're still gonna disrespect us, because they don't get a rating.
They are. So. But that's gonna be a lot of fun. So let's kind of wrap this into one all encapsulating, I guess, closing thoughts and how we are going to prep these next few weeks. Like we said, opening night, opening day, 10 days away. We are going to do our regular podcast, like you said, on Monday. And then we are going to do another one on Wednesday. Then it's going to be sprinkled in throughout the whole season. We're probably going to stick primarily to our spot, that typical Monday drop. However, to keep things a little bit more time sensual and just getting all, making sure we're wrapping up the week nice, I do like the idea of mixing in a few Sunday nights. The game ends around 4. We pop on a pod in the evening. You get it in your ear holes at night, and you wake up and it's the fresh week on a Blue Jays week. I like that. That'll be fun. It'll be fun for me. It'll be fun for you. It'll keep things, entertaining.
It'll be fun to talk about, like, the actual games, right? Like, to actually, like, be able to recap, like, talking about the the Canada like post games and stuff, like those have been great. And honestly, like I had a lot of fun doing those
Tons.
because you watch the game from a different perspective. But at the end of the day, it's not the Blue Jays, right? Like that's what people want to hear about, right? People want to know what's going on with the Jays. Well, how am I supposed to feel? Things like that. And so we'll be kind of all over the place with that, right? Like, you know, Andrew might tell you that, hey, press the panic button. And then my job here is to be like, well, again, it's the first week of the season. Just because they didn't go 9-0 doesn't mean that they're not going to do anything this year,
It's
So,
true. It's
um,
true. I will be the one
yeah,
to hit the panic button first. I admit, I see the big red button and I like to press it. However, I'm just doing it because I care, not because
of course,
I am clueless.
of course.
unless there's
Um,
a little bit of both in there too, which is a-okay with me. Uh
Yeah. Well, yeah. So next week, obviously, we're gonna do regular episode on Monday. Will be basically just anything that we've missed.
yes.
It's end of
Yes.
spring training takeaways. It'll be a bit of a. We're gonna do a bit of a Blue Jay stock report, as I mentioned with Brandon Little, like just different performers in spring training, guys that had good springs, guys that had bad springs. Are you buying stock? Are you selling stock? Like, what are we? How do we feel about certain individuals and what to expect going into the season? And then the season preview will be again a little bit more holistic, where we'll pick division winners, we'll pick World Series matchup, World Series champions, MVPs, some bold predictions throughout the season, mainly Blue Jays related when it comes to that stuff. But maybe we'll get a little bit of a Redbird rant in there somewhere from the old Stuntman. So we'll see. It should be fun though. So
I'm excited. There's one last thing I want to end on for myself. It was a recent roster cut for the Blue Jays. Um, Nothing against the guy. Could be a great guy. Maybe he gives to charity. However, I'm sitting here looking at this guy's name and I can't help but think if both of his parents hate him or might be somewhat illiterate. Because this guy's name is like spelling Jeff with a G. You know those guys? Oh, my name's Jeff. How do you spell it?
G
G
yeah
E
G
O
E
F.
O F
Okay, so
F.
your name is Geoff. It's not Jeff. This guy's poor name is Giovanni. Geovanny. Giovanni. His parents either hate him or are illiterate. And unfortunately, he was cut. So I don't even get a chance to see if any of those things impact his chance. Yeah, and clearly they impacted him being on the opening day roster. Maybe we'll see him down the road. Who knows? But shout out to Giovanni and his inability to have a normally spelt name.
I got nothing to say.
Good. Do you
That's
have a
I
do
was
you have a score prediction for tonight's WBC final?
see like I should pick the U.S. Like that's like the common sense thing to do, but I'm not going to because I just blasted the U.S. on this entire podcast. So I refuse to pick the U.S. I'm going to say 5-3 Venezuela. That's going to be my score prediction. 5-3.
I like that. That's a good prediction.
What do you got?
I'm going to go 5-4 USA. I
Who's your
they've just been
who's
yeah.
your MVP prediction?
Uh
WBC MVP. I'm putting you on the spot
do
here. We didn't
they
really
well,
talk about
here's a
this.
quick question, just a rebuttal. Do they do similar to other leagues where somebody can be an MVP and not play in the final?
In theory, yes. I have a hard time seeing
Right.
them give it out. I'm pretty. It's an MVP of the whole tournament, right?
I mean,
So,
okay, if
um,
Venezuela wins, it probably goes to Ronald Acuna Jr. If the USA wins, my pick, maybe like Gunnar Henderson, just like throwing an odd one out
That
there.
was going to be my
Yeah,
pick for
like
the U.S.
maybe it's
Yeah,
not an odd one, but I think he
he's been
genuinely, yeah,
so
he's just
good.
been so good. So I guess that's
My
yeah.
dark horse though for the U.S. My dark horse for the U.S. though is Roman Anthony. I would say that
Oh,
he
he's been good
has
too,
to be on
man.
the short list of
Mm,
guys. Yeah, he's on the short list of guys. Maybe Paul Skeens, Mason Miller is another one. The closer who hasn't given up a hit.
yep.
Like he's been great. Depends if he pitches tonight. My thing is, if it was the tournament ended today, I actually think Venezuela's MVP would be Luis Arias or Michael Garcia. Like those would probably be my two picks. I think it would be Ronald Acuna because I don't see how Venezuela wins this game without a big game from Ronald Acuna. So um, that's my prediction for Venezuela's Acuna because of what I think might happen tonight for the U.S. Because you pick Gunnar Henderson, I'm going to pick Roman Anthony. So um, we'll do it that way.
Love it. That's going down tonight at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. One of those two p.m.s. Either
I think
way,
it's 8.
probably 8. Why would they change the schedule just to accommodate my assumption? 8 p.m. That one's going to go down. We'll have fun. Maybe talking about it. Maybe not ever mentioning it again. But either way, shout out those two teams. Shout out Venezuela. Let's hope they can pull out a W. Next episode, we are going to chat full opening day preview, final roster locks, any Blue Jays injury fallouts that we have to keep up with. And then 2 days after that, we are breaking down game one of the Toronto Blue Jays quest for a World Series. I'm excited. I know that I've been excited ever since the start of, spring training, but I mean it now. I am fired up.
It's getting close.
Oh,
It's getting
10
close.
days, man. That's so crazy. It's asinine to think that we used to start the season April 5th. Crazy that we used to do that. Love that we started early. Totally here for it. Let's see what happens. I am the Stuntman. That is the Lazarbeam. And we will see everybody on Monday. Ciao for now.